Welcome to Naptime Sports Talk Podcast. We are two dads talking sports during nap times. Thank you for tuning in to the latest episode. Welcome back to Naptime Sports Talk Podcast. For episode 17, we'll start off with some Minnesota Timberwolves talk, then go into our top 5 favorite Vikings and Twins players. Then I will go over an early NFL mock draft to just mention some names to watch for during the NCAA football season. Enjoy the show. So before we get started, I'd like to welcome back DC Dan Clement. DC, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm doing good. So thank you for joining me on episode 17 here. And DC will probably be joining me here a little more in the future. Just wanted to share to everyone that Zach is going to be taking a break from the podcast just for a little while, probably during the summertime. As we all know how summer gets pretty busy. Zach and his family actually welcomed their second son. So, yeah, congratulations, Zach, to you all, and super excited for you. So, look forward to having you back probably once the football season starts up here. But, yeah, just kind of start off here, DC. So, the Minnesota Timberwolves advanced to the Western Conference Finals. And, man, what a Game 7 it was.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. I didn't watch it, but I watched on the highlights, and being down by 15 at halftime and come back and won by 8, they came back and had a heck of a second half.
Yeah, dude, I'm not going to lie. When they were down 15 at halftime, I was just sitting on my couch like, you got to be kidding me. This is how it's going to end. And thank goodness that they came out and they had a hell of a second half there. I don't know if you saw my text that night, but I said, please, baby Jesus, give us a 20-point run. You know, so, hey, he gave us that 20-point run because we got that in the second half. So thank you.
I saw it when I woke up, and all I could do was just laugh for you for saying that.
Yeah, I was so pumped, man, when that happened. I'm so excited. I'm just super excited to watch more Timberwolves basketball. It's been amazing having a run this late. You know, us Minnesota fans, we haven't had a run like this in the playoffs for a very, very long time. So it's been a very long time coming that we can actually see a team advance to the Western Conference Finals. You know, usually the Wild would be in the playoffs, but they would usually get knocked out in round 1 or in the past years, round 2. So it's been a very long time since we had a team advance this far. Same thing with the Twins. They would get knocked out in round 1 of the playoffs. Last year, obviously, they won the play-in series. It's kind of now like the wild card series. Then they lost that divisional round versus the Houston Astros. But yeah, super excited to see the Wolves play. And, you know, I thought guys stepped up big time in the second half. Rudy Gobert, when he hit that turnaround jumper, just like, man, you know we are losing after that once we got that lead, because Rudy Gobert, that is not a part of his game. And also, I thought he was pretty clutch down the stretch too. You know, he made his free throws when needed. I think the last time he went to the line, he went back-to-back trips to the line. He went 4 for 4 on them. So that was huge to keep that lead going. And guys like McDaniels, he was a big X factor there in the second half. And Ant, you know, just creating plays, hitting shots when needed. And hey, Big D, better bring your ass to watch Game 1 on Wednesday night. So
I'll be watching. There might be some noisemakers going on in the man cave, but I'll be definitely be watching it.
Yeah, for sure. So super excited about that. So yeah, tomorrow night, after probably when this podcast drops, we'll know the result of Game 1 there. But yeah, Dallas Mavericks could be a good series. You know, they have one of the best players in the world with Luka, and then Kyrie can step up. I know he's kind of had maybe not his best playoff here so far, but you just never know with him. He has all that experience in the playoffs, so that is a factor. Right now, DC, if I had to pick, I think the Wolves are going to win this series in 6. What's your prediction for this one?
Yeah, I think it's be 6-2. I think they're going the first 2 games at home. They might drop one game in Dallas, and I think they're going to bounce back, win again, and they're going to win one more game at home.
Yeah, I definitely could see that for sure.
Yeah, I think they're going to win 4-1.
Okay. So you think they're going to win in 5 then?
Yes, 5.
Okay, so 5. Yeah, I'm going to say 6. You're going to say 5. I like that. So yeah, Game 1's Wednesday at 7:30. Then Game 2 is on Friday, May 24th at 7:30. Game 3 is Sunday. May 26th at 7. Big D, we're getting together for that one, so looking forward to that. Game 4
Oh yeah.
will be on Tuesday, May 28th at 7:30, and then Game 5, if it goes Game 5, that'll be Thursday, May 30th. If it goes Game 6, it'll be Saturday, June 1st, and then if it goes 7, it'll be Monday, June 3rd. So they have all those games already laid out. The nicest thing too is that since they're going every other day now, is we don't have to wait
Mm-hmm.
until 9:30, 9:45 actually, when it was actually tip off to watch a game, because all those games were getting pretty late at night. So I'm super excited about that as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's really nice.
yeah. So I don't know. I think I might have failed to mention too, just how it just kind of seemed like all the stars aligned for us, because May 19th, 2004 was the last time we won a Game 7 and advanced to the Western Conference Finals. And it happened
Yeah.
May 19th, 2024, 20 years later. So I think that's pretty insane. And they put the cherry on top, happened on KG's birthday.
Yeah, what's the odds of that?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just like I said, all the stars aligned for us or something.
I was 16 years old when they won the first Game 7. Man, I'm getting old.
Geez, Big D, you're giving us your age. You're putting your age here on the old podcast.
It's all right. It's all right.
No, yeah, I'll do the same thing. I was 11 years old when the last time the Wolves won a Game 7. So it's been a very, very long time. And then the Twins, same thing. Till this past fall, when we beat the Blue Jays there, it was pretty much the same thing of I don't know, maybe like 4th or 5th grade when the Twins won their last playoff series. So we've had a lot of heartache over
Yeah.
these years. And I don't know if y'all caught the press or post game presser with Towns and Ant, and the guy was saying how sometimes you got to lose big to bounce back, something like that. And Towns like, what do you mean? We lost it was the playoffs. And they said, we've been losing for 20 years. How much more do you want us to lose, right? So they were dead on with that one. That was pretty funny.
And then you got Ant. He goes, "I'm 6 for 24. I stuck."
Yeah, for sure, dude. He's got that like that dog mentality where he's not afraid to call himself
Yeah.
when he has tough
No.
games, and he's a hell of a leader for only being 22 years old. So another
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
I think it was earlier this. I don't know if it was this series, but it might have been at some point of the regular season. He's mic'd up and he's talking to Cat on the bench, and Cat was complaining about a foul, and Ant goes, "Just don't effing foul." So a 22-year-old saying that to a longtime vet is something. So yeah, he's got that dog mentality that
Yeah.
I love a lot.
Yeah. He's an absolute dog.
Yeah, he is an absolute dog. So, all right. Well, moving on to our next topic, we're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite Vikings and Twins players of all time. So we're not going to talk about players who are currently on the roster. And I know earlier in the podcast here, I also kind of went over my top 3, and I think I went based on, when I was younger, maybe when I was in high school, and then to present day now. So yeah, it's going to be a little different for me, but DC, we'll just start at number 5. We'll alternate. So I'll have you
Okay.
go first. Who is your 5th favorite
Okay.
Viking all time? And hold on, before we start, also, I just want to mention that for myself, it's not players I never watched before, because, of course I might have
Okay.
guys on there like Carl Eller and Fran Tarkenton and Page and all that, but I didn't watch those guys growing up. I can only read about them and
Mm-hmm.
watch certain highlights and things like that. So I really wanted to hone in on people that I watched growing up. So that was my takeaway for the Twins and the Vikings too. So these are guys that I watched growing
Okay.
up. All right, so yeah, go ahead. Who's your number 5 for the Vikings?
So number 5. So this was very, very tough for me for my top 5. So for number 5, I went Adrian Peterson.
Okay.
He did 15 years in the league, 7 years with the Vikings. He had 3,230 yards carries on 14,981 yards with 305 catches with 2,474 yards receiving and 126 touchdowns. I think this is probably one of the the best Vikings running backs they ever had. He was just a workhorse. Like to see him stiff arm and especially running over guys, all that stuff, and just putting them on their backs, and it was fun to watch them play. Like it was hard to put him at number 5 because there was so much talent on the Vikings roster and everything. So yeah, I'm just excited that it was so much fun to watch them play for 7 years with the Vikings.
Oh yeah, no doubt. AP all day was built differently for sure. I definitely think he's the best Viking running back in our history too. So he was a special talent, future Hall of Famer, absolute dog, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, heck of a choice there. We'll see where he ends up on my list, but if DC knowing me, he probably knows that AP's in my top 5. I'll say that for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So my number 5 is Steve Hutchinson. So Steve Hutchinson was one of my favorite offensive linemen growing up. You know, he played at guard for us. A Hall of Famer. He's got elected in the Hall of Fame. Man, was he just one of those offensive linemen who could just do it all. Great in run blocking, great in pass game, or pass blocking as well. And he was just very physical, steady, elite, top offense lineman, I'd say, during his time in the NFL. So Steve Hutchinson is my 5th overall favorite Viking that I grew up watching.
Hey, he was a tank. Like a big dude. I think was he like 6'5", 6'6", or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what his height was, but yeah, I know he was up there for sure. So
Yeah, he was a scary dude.
yeah, no doubt.
For my number 4th guy, had to be Jared Allen. He played 13 seasons combined with like the Kansas City Chiefs and the Bears, and he played 6 seasons with the Vikings. He had 497 solo tackles, 136 sacks, 31 forced fumbles, and 6 interceptions in 13 years. Like we talked to him on the last episode, and he's just an absolute dog. He always brought a fire to that defense. Probably one of the best defense ends that I say playing the game besides a lot of good athletes. It just tough athlete, really good with the run block, pass block, everything. And yeah, he was just fun to watch, and he was a beast.
Yeah, Jared Allen's a special player. Heck of a trade that we did with the Kansas City Chiefs to bring him on over, and you know, loved his mentality, loved his little mantra there of business in the front, party in the back with his mullet. BC, I don't know if you remember
Mm-hmm.
this, but in high school we played we went on a little run there in the high school playoffs for Denfeld, and I actually trimmed my hair because I kind of had longer hair back then. I had the mold, I had the racing stripes on the side and stuff like that. So
I remember that.
yeah,
I remember that.
so yeah, Jared Allen was definitely one of my favorite players growing up. We'll see if he's on my list. If you're like I said, probably is, but we'll see what happens. But man, his celebration too is one of my favorites. When you would get a sack, you know, like to get to the knee and throw the arm up and then put his kind of wings out like that with his arms. That was one of my favorite sack celebrations growing up too. So, well, my number 4 player is Adrian Peterson. So, like you spoke on Adrian Peterson, in my opinion, I think he's the best running back to ever put on Vikings uniform. Just a workhorse, do it all. You know, he wasn't the best pass catcher out of the out of the backfield. Obviously, a kind of game has evolved a little more as that time came on. Now we have more dual threat backs and stuff like that. But, you know, you definitely give him the ball. He's definitely a one-cut guy and run you over. So, special talent. You know, he's still not retired. So, he's definitely probably going to be, I would have to say he's going to be a future first ballot Hall of Famer if I had to guess.
Yeah.
He's not. I'd be absolutely shocked if AP is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. But yeah, he's one of my favorite players growing up. Have his jersey sitting in my closet, and yeah, it would be hard not to put AP in my top 5. And this list is hard because there's a lot of guys that I could have had on here too. So doing 5 is very difficult for me.
Like, and I'll be actually kind of mad if he didn't make first round ballot for Hall of Fame, because it's just he was like you said, he was just a workhorse, and he run north and south, and he'll run you over in your way. He does not care. He'll lower that shoulder, and he will just put people on their backs, and it was just fun to watch him play.
For sure. I love that early AP too when we had who was it? Taylor. Chester Taylor? Does that sound
Yes.
about right? We had Chester Taylor and
Yep.
him. They
Yep.
kind of were the 1-2 punch there for us. But man,
Mm-hmm.
that was a nice 1-2 punch with AP and Chester Taylor. That was a pretty dynamic
Yeah.
backfield there that we had.
Yeah. Chester Taylor was a good third down back for us too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So all right, well moving on, DC, who is your number 3 guy?
My number 3 guy is Chris Carter. He played 16 years in the league. He did get drafted by the Eagles in 1987, but he did play 12 seasons with the Vikings. He had about 11,000 receptions, with 13,899 yards, and had 130 touchdowns. And if I had to put him like for like the top 5, my top 5 like all time receivers, he'd be in my top 5.
Okay.
Um, I think he was probably one of the best sideline catchers in the league, with definitely with like the tiptoes and keeping his feet in bounds. And like his route running was good, but it wasn't like Randy Moss's route running or whatever.
Mhm.
But with that duo with him and Moss, and everything, back then, it was scary. Like I was really really shocked that we couldn't punch our ticket to the Super Bowl,
Yeah,
because
came close, right? 98.
it was fun to watch, but it was just it's think that we could not win our Super Bowl that year.
Yeah, that wide receiver room that we had that year, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, we went 15-1, first in the NFC North. We had the great late Denny Green in the helm of our coach. I believe we had Moss, Carter, and Jake Reed, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yes, we did.
hell of a wide receiver tandem there too. And man, if we could get a tandem like that again, that would be special. Because right now we have JJ, we have Addy. I still think we're lacking that third wide receiver. Last year we kind of stepped into the KJ Osborne. He stepped up a
Mm-hmm.
lot into that role. I shouldn't say he stepped up because he was given that role, but he made a lot
Mm-hmm.
of he had a lot of drops last year and things like that. I think he kind of just had a really poor season for us last year. But I think we're definitely missing that wide receiver 3 right now on our roster. And if we could somehow establish that and find that, that'd be awesome. Because, Brandon Powell, yes, he's a good player. To me, he's more of a role guy, kind of like a gadget dude. And then maybe one of
Mm-hmm.
these guys are going to step up here. You know, trying to think off the top of my head, but like, I think they brought in, gosh, I'm trying to think right now of who the wide receiver.
Do they do they still have Tristan Jackson still?
So yeah, we do have Tristan Jackson. He's probably gonna be a guy that's gonna be going for, I would say, maybe that 6th spot, 5th spot. But I'm trying to think. They brought in Trent Sherfield. I don't know what if he's gonna be making the team. I think he'll be trying. Obviously he'll go to training camp and see what he can do there. Malik Knowles was a guy I was trying to think of. He got hurt last year. Maybe he's 6'2", 196.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens with him, but he has a lot of development. They have Jalen Naylor out of Michigan State. He was hurt last year a lot. If he can step up maybe in that wide
Mm-hmm.
receiver 3 role, we'll see what happens. If he can stay healthy, maybe he's got really nice speed. A couple years back, he had a nice touchdown there versus the Green Bay Packers down the sideline late in a game. But yeah, you just kind of look at our room. We're very top heavy with Addison and JJ, but wide receiver 3 is definitely up for battle. We'll see what happens. But yeah, definitely I think it'd be helpful maybe for them to, I don't even know who's out there still in the open market for free agency, but if we can bring in a guy to compete for that role, or maybe even kind of get a lock on that role, that'd be great. Because right now I think we're kind of still looking for that wide receiver 3. I don't know if Powell, like I said, he had a good year last year when he was called upon, but is he going to consistently put together a solid year to lock that wide receiver 3 position? I don't know. We'll see what happens. So, but yeah, moving on to my third player. So my third player, you already brought this guy up, and that's Jared Allen. So yeah, Jared Allen is one of my favorite players growing up. Like we talked about, just his play in the run game, and then his ability to go out and sack the quarterback as well, something very special. And then just his celebration there that you do after he gets sacks, his high energy, his personality. He's hilarious. I think it's funny that he took up curling after end of his career. I'm pretty sure he still lives here in Minnesota too. From last time I thought,
Mhm.
and one of my favorite things about Jared Allen too is when he went into the Ring of Honor for the Vikes, he rode in on a horse. You know how
Yeah.
just how cool is that? Not too many guys would ride in on a horse to the Ring of Honor ceremony. So Jared Allen, awesome dude. I'd love to if I could meet him someday. That'd be super cool because, like I said, he's a really cool guy.
And I heard that he's actually really good at curling too.
Is he really?
Yeah, and I
I
guess he
believe
does
it
a lot.
because I would say I would believe it because usually those guys they can be pretty talented at a lot of different things that they do. So
And I think he does a lot of fishing too.
yeah, yeah, I can see that for sure. Jared Allen, I
Yeah,
could see him be a big fisherman. I remember Brian Robeson; he was a big fisherman.
yeah, he still does. He he goes fishes every day. Like you should see his boat. His boat is like really nice.
Oh, I'm sure, I'm sure. And then Randy Moss, he's a big fisherman as well.
Yeah, yeah, he goes. I think he goes fishing like every day.
Yeah, I love that meme. It says "straight bass, homie."
Yeah.
So, well, moving on. DC, who is your second guy?
Well, my second guy is Randy Moss. He played 8 seasons with the Vikes, 16 years in the league. He had a total of 987 receptions with 15,892 receiving yards, and he had 156 touchdowns. And like we just talked about him, and just a beast of an athlete. Route running was amazing. Great hands. Um, he was on the elite offense in the early '90s. I mean, late '90s. My bad, late '90s.
No, you're
And
good.
and like my favorite saying is straight cash, homie.
Yeah.
But I think the best part of Randy Moss, and of course he got fined big for it when he mooned the Green Bay Packers. That's probably the
Oh,
best,
heck yeah.
probably the best celebration I ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, that's an all-time moment for me right there.
Yeah, it was just great. And when he gets pulled over, he just pays his speeding tickets and cash. It just says straight cash, homie.
Dude, just a legend, just a legend. I actually say
Yeah.
that once in a while at the end of the podcast, straight cash homie. So I love that as well. Um, Randy Moss, he's actually my number 2 guy too. So we might have the same number 1, Dan. I'm thinking we might have
I
the
think
same number 1 here. So we'll have to
I
see.
think we might.
But yeah, I just second everything that you said about Randy Moss. Just a phenomenal wide receiver. To me, I think him and Jerry Rice are probably the top 2 wide receivers, greatest wide receivers of all time. If I had to pick, I may be a little biased putting Moss at number 1, but his ability to just, stretch the field, and man, he ran like a deer too, and like you said, he had
Hmm.
great hands. That one catch, I think it was versus the Dallas Cowboys way back when he made that one-hand catch in the end zone. And also
Hmm.
remember the play where, gosh, I'm gonna have to think of this, but he catches the ball, then he laterals it. I think was it Bennett that he did that too? I can't remember who exactly, but
Uh, I know what you're talking about, but I forgot who it was.
yeah, maybe I'll have to look that up. But yeah,
Okay.
just his awareness on the field too. Um, yeah, it's a bummer. He never won a ring. Happy didn't win a ring with the Patriots. Obviously,
Yeah.
how I felt about that. But yeah, Randy Moss is definitely a cool dude. Like you said, very pretty still involved with the Vikes in our Ring of Honor in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So Now, how can you not have Randy Moss in your top 5? So,
And it was awesome to see him at training camp too, up close too.
yeah, definitely,
All right,
definitely.
my number one is I think it's probably the most Vikings legend out there is John Randall. He played 14 seasons with the Vikings. He had 51 solo tackles. He had 137.5 sacks, and he had 11 forced fumbles.
Mhm.
Um, he's still involved with the Vikings. Um, I think he's part of the organization though too, is he?
Well, I don't know a if he, like, has a specific job on the organization, but like you said, he's very involved with the organization still. He does, I'm pretty sure he still lives here in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
he's just very involved. He's like one of the top alumni, I'd say, in our area. So he comes to the games all the time, and he does all like the events, like when they do like golfing events and stuff like that. John Randall will usually be there golfing with everyone. So yeah, he's definitely an absolute dog, that's for sure. Well, before I move on to my number one, um, yeah, so it was Randy Moss lateral to Mo Williams is what it was.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
So just one of the best plays, I think that'll go down in NFL history. So and
Hmm.
Viking history for sure. But well, my number
Oh yeah.
one, John Randall. You know, who could have? If you know me well, you could probably easily guess that. But like DC said too, just tenacious football player. Just in the middle of the defense. His story, he's an undrafted guy out of college, kind of seen as undersized for that position, and he really just proved everyone wrong. So John Randall, just an awesome dude, and he's my number one favorite Viking football player of all time. So
Hmm. Yeah, he just took off the league and just proved everybody wrong that he's greatest, uh, one of the greatest defensive player in the entire league, and it's so awesome to see him a first round ballot Hall of Famer, and no one's ever gonna wear that number 93 ever again.
yeah, for sure. So it's too bad that we don't actually retire those jerseys because he would definitely be one that I would retire. If I had the choice. I think Kevin
Yeah.
Williams wore 93, right? At one point.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I'm
Yes, he
not
did.
sure
Yes.
who, if anyone wears 93 right now, but 84 and 93, I think, are two numbers that should be retired for the Vikings.
Yeah.
So, well, moving on. So we're gonna, maybe before I actually move on, maybe just go off our top 5 real quick again. So my number 5 was Steve Hutchinson, number 4 Adrian Peterson, number 3 Jared Allen, number 2 Randy Moss, number 1 John Randall.
And mine was Adrian Peterson, Jared Allen, Chris Carter, Randy Moss, and John Randall.
Let's go. Let's go Vikes. So moving on to the Twins. So DC, who is your 5th favorite Twin of all time that you've watched?
All right, number 5 is Johan Santana. Played 12 years and 8 years with the Twins. He played 360 games. His record was 139 to 78. He had close to 2,000 strikeouts, and his career ERA was 3.20.
Yeah, Johan Santana is an elite
Mm-hmm.
starting pitcher for us. An ace, epitome of an ace. Like he was an ace pitcher for sure. And he went on, I think, to the New York Mets and did really well there as well. So
His slider was insane, and like all his pitches are good, but his slider was probably his best pitch.
yeah, for sure. When we had him and Liriano, man, that was like one of the best 1-2 punches in I
Yeah.
think in MLB kind of at that time with Santana and Liriano. And unfortunately, Liriano I think he got hurt too and kind of diminished his career a little bit, but he had a
Mm-hmm.
heck of a slider as well. Both of them did. Well, my number 5 is Christian Guzman. I don't know if you remember that name, but Christian Guzman was one of my favorite players growing up. I had many, many baseball cards of him. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure going off the top of my head, he played third base.
Yes, he did.
But yeah,
Number
Christian
15.
Guzman, I think he was number 15. One of my favorite players growing up, so I absolutely loved him. So who is your number 4, DC?
And number 4 is Torrey Hunter.
All right.
He played 18 seasons with 11 years with the Twins. He played in 2,372 games. He had 2,452 hits, 353 career home runs, 1,341 RBIs, and his career batting average was 277. Yeah, his batting average was low, but um, I think he's probably one of the best center fielders that ever played the game. Not even the Twins history in the MLB. Um, like everybody knows that him robbing Barry Bonds in the All-Star game in center field. Everybody knows that, and I used to have that picture hang on my wall. And yeah, he was great. He
Yeah,
played.
he's a stud, man. He was a stud.
Yeah, he played 7 years with the Angels.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly the number, but he had a long time. He played for the Angels for a while. Then pretty sure I'm not, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I thought he came back with the Twins at some point later
Yeah,
on in his
yeah,
career.
he played one. I think he played 1 year with the Twins. Then I think he's part of the Angels organization. I think he's one of the coaching staffs or something for the Angels.
Well, he has been doing stuff for the Twins. I'm not sure if he's still doing that right now, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that, DC, if
Okay.
he's with the Angels right now. He could be, but I know he was doing some stuff for the Twins here for a while too.
Okay.
So, but yeah, maybe just looking here real quick. I'm just really curious to see if he did end his career with us, because I thought he played for Detroit there for a little bit. Yeah. So he played for the Twins from 1997 all the way to 2007. Then he was on the Angels from 2008 all the way to 2012. Then he played 2 years with the Detroit Tigers, 2013 and 2014, and he ended his career with the Twins in 2015. So, yeah, Torrey Hunter was an amazing player. And, yeah, I'm not sure what he's doing right now, but I'm pretty sure he was kind of doing something for the Twins for a while, but he definitely could be doing something for the Angels now. So, hey, wait. Here it is. Torrey Hunter joins Angels as special assistant to the GM. So he's doing something in their front office now.
Okay.
For the Angels. Yep. So you're
okay.
right. Yeah. I didn't know that. So yeah, thanks, Steve, for that news.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, moving on to my 4th player. So you already talked about this guy, but it's Johan Santana is my 4th overall player. So already talked about his electric stuff that he had. He was our ace pitcher. Probably one of the best starting pitchers I've ever watched play for us. We really didn't have a great ace like him maybe now until Pablo Lopez, who's really stepped up for us the last, we got him that Arise deal. So I definitely think that Johan Santana has probably been that best pitcher since then, and now we got Pablo. So yeah, he's my number 4 player. Who is your number 3 guy?
So my number 3 guy is Justin Morneau.
Okay.
He played 14 years and played 11 years with the Twins. He played in 1,545 games. He had 1,603 hits, 247 home runs, 985 yards, 985 RBIs, and his career batting average was 281. I think he's probably one of the best first basemen for the Twins besides Ken Herbeck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did win that home run derby. In his career, I forgot what year it was.
Yeah, that was out I'm pretty sure it was out in New York, and that's when Josh Hamilton had all those home runs.
Yeah,
but they kind of went round by round, and his total, I know he went crazy in the first or second round. Hamilton did. He kind of tired himself out. Then Morneau kind of stole the home run derby for him in the final round there. But yeah, Justin Morneau, he's a heck of a player, like you said. The M&M boys is what they called him for a long time, him and Joe Mauer. So Morneau is still involved with the Twins. He's in the broadcast booth now, so he does the commentary on the games here for the Twins on Bally. So yeah, I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. My 3rd guy is Joe Nathan. So Joe Nathan was one of my favorite closers growing up. Just every time he went out to the mound, you knew that he was pretty much a lock to close out the game. I'm sure he had his moments where he blew some saves and stuff like that, but I'd say most of the time he was coming out with that win for us and that save for us. So just a special talent, Joe Nathan was, and yeah, he's my third overall player for the Twins. Who's your number two guy there, Big D?
So my number 2 is Joe Mauer. He played all 15 seasons with the Twins. He played in 1,858 games. He had 2,123 hits, 143 home runs, 923 RBIs, and his batting average was 306. And is one of the best catchers that ever played the game. Ever played the game. And it just is crazy how one guy played his whole career for one team, and it doesn't feel like he played 15 years with the Twins. It feels like he just started,
Yeah,
and he's like 41 years old or whatever, and struck out once in high school, and one of
heck
the
of a
probably
football
one of the
player
best.
too.
Yeah, he was.
He could have been. He had like I think a full ride to go to Florida State to
Wow.
play quarterback for them.
Okay.
I think he was one of the top recruits in the nation too.
Wow.
So
Yeah, because he went to
yep,
Kern Durham Hall.
yeah, Cretan.
Yep.
But yeah, like you said, he's actually my number two guy too. So that's perfect segue to my guy. Yeah, Joe Mauer, very loyal to the Twins. Like you said, he played his whole career for us. He's one player I'm bummed out that he never got a ring because man, he sure deserved it. One of the best hitting catchers of all time. It's unfortunate he got that injury that kind of slowed him down a little bit. Then he had to move more to first base there. Um, but just one of the purest swings in all of baseball, I thought. And he's definitely deserving. I know a lot of people who are maybe not around the Twins organization and stuff like that, but I think he's definitely deserving to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, like he will be here this summer in Cooperstown. And I think there is only two other catchers ever to be first ballot Hall of Famers. And Joe Mauer statistically is right up there with him. So I think he's definitely deserving what he did for our organization, what he did for the Twins baseball, for the franchise, what he still does. I was actually able to go to his when he got inducted or they retired his jersey here for the Twins some years back with my father-in-law and my brother-in-law to that. So that was a really fun experience to see when Joe Mauer they retired his number there for the Twins forever. So he'll be forever in a legacy of Minnesota Twins baseball. But yeah, my number two favorite player, Joe Mauer. So DC, who is your number one guy?
So my number one player, and he is my favorite baseball player of all time, is Kirby Puckett.
Yep.
Played 11 years with the Twins. Had played in 1,783 games. He had 2,304 hits, 207 home runs, 1,085 RBIs, and his career average was 308. And like I said, he is my favorite player of all time in all baseball. I always rock his number when I play sports. I was honored to watch him play, especially when he robbed the home run in the '91 World Series at the Metrodome. Um, he played at center field. Yeah, it's sad that his career ended early for going blind
Yep.
and everything because
Yep.
um he would have had a couple more years in him because he only played 11 years.
Yeah.
So
For
he could
sure.
probably play another 5 or 6 more years and probably break some records and everything. But yeah, he was fun to watch. Um, Short guy. He was only like 5'8", like 240 pounds. So he was just a short, chubby guy playing center field. So it was
Yeah.
it was fun to watch. That's why he's my number one player and one of my favorite players in MLB ever.
Yeah, I like it. He is definitely if this was a list of maybe just my top five favorite players of all time, and he'd definitely be in my top five for sure. So my list is strictly guys who I watched. I didn't
Mhm.
have the pleasure of watching Kirby Puckett. I was too young at that time, but I understand his legacy that he had with the Twins. And going back and watching them the '91 World Series games too. you can see how hell of a player he was too, and how important he was for those teams winning those championships. So yeah, I like it a lot. DC Kirby Puckett, awesome pick. I actually have a picture of Kirby Puckett down in my basement. So
And that might not be there this weekend.
well, now we know if my Kirby Puckett picture goes missing. DC, you said it here on the podcast. I got some proof. So no, all joking aside, but my number one player is. I'm gonna give you one guess. Who do you think it's gonna be? So here I'll go over my top 5 real quick. 5 was Christian Guzman, 4 Johan Santana, 3 Joe Nathan, and 2 Joe Mauer.
Oh, I really don't know.
All right, well here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Torrey Hunter is my number one favorite Twin of all time. You talked about him, just his defensive game, his ability to play center field, rob home runs, the excitement defensively that, the diving catches and all that. Is one of my favorite aspects of baseball is those guys making those web gems and things like that. And growing up trying to make web gems here in the yard too, and going out to the baseball field doing the same thing. And I remember one time actually I was with my buddy up at a ballpark here in Duluth, Minnesota, and we would go to these little league fields, and we're probably in middle school, and we would just obviously hit home runs out of there all the time, because they're small fields. But I remember one time I was trying to rob a home run, and I just freaking smacked the fence so hard. Cause I'm trying to be like Torrey Hunter out there, So he definitely made it look a lot easier than it is. But yeah, Torrey Hunter was my number one favorite Twin growing up. So yeah, just to wrap up my list real quick. Like I said, Christian Guzman, number 5. Number 4, Johan Santana. Number 3, Joe Nathan. Number 2, Joe Mauer. Number 1, Torrey Hunter.
Yeah, so I got Johan Santana, Torrey Hunter, Justin Morneau, Joe Mauer, and Kirby Puckett.
Hell yeah, let's go. So yeah, very nice list for sure. And the Twins got back on track tonight, and they broke their 7-game losing streak. So they went on that huge winning streak where they won 12 games in a row. And then some games after that, we got swept by the Yankees, got swept by the Cleveland Guardians, and then we lost game 1 in I think versus the Washington Nationals here this current series. So thankfully the Bats got going tonight. I think they won 10-0. So hopefully they turned a corner. I know they just had a players meeting only, so hopefully that helped. Because we have a lot of games left, and we need to get on our high horse again.
Yeah, we do.
So, well, moving on to our last topic. So I know the episode's kind of getting a little long, but DC, we'll just kind of go through this real quick, all right? So I'm going to go over Jordan Reid's first mock draft. So Jordan Reid is a draft analyst on ESPN. He's one of my favorite guys to watch and to read his articles during the football seasons and even the off season as well. So I'm gonna start off right away. So these are guys that you kind of can keep an eye on next year watching college football. So I thought that would be kind of cool.
Okay.
But number 1, so he had the New York Giants picking number 1. He had a trade with the Carolina Panthers in this position, and they went out and drafted Carson Beck, quarterback out of Georgia. So Carson Beck could be a guy that potentially, as of right now, could be the number 1 quarterback taken next year. In my opinion, it's probably down to him and Shedeur Sanders. So just watch out for Carson Beck this football season. Number 2, the Washington Commanders. He had Michael Williams. He's an edge defender out of Georgia. He's only 19 years old still. And he played primarily on the inside at D tackle last year. And this past season ended up with 4.5 sacks, but he's getting moved out to the outside this season. So he's definitely a guy that could make a big impact on the outside and see what he can do this upcoming season with Georgia. So Georgia Dogs, man, I know DC, you're a big Roll Tide fan. They got 2 Georgia boys going here, number 1 and number 2. What do you think about that?
Don't like it.
DC, if we play that college football game, I'm going to be Georgia, you be Bam, I'm going to beat your ass.
All right.
No, I'm just kidding.
All right. Sounds good.
I might have to bleep that out here, but I might have to bleep that out. All right. Moving on to the 3rd pick here, they had the New England Patriots. So they had Will Campbell, offensive tackle at LSU. So Will Campbell's probably going to be one of the top offensive tackles coming out in this class next year. So keep an eye on him when you watch LSU football games. Number 4, the Carolina Panthers, and that is James Pierce Jr., edge defender out of Tennessee. He had 10 sacks last year, and 18 and a half tackles for loss this past season. So he's an absolute
Wow.
dog. And James Pierce is a guy to watch for Tennessee. He's going to be a special talent. Number 5, Zach. Here we go, buddy. If you're listening, this is for you. He had the Las Vegas Raiders trading with the Tennessee Titans, and next draft we plan on all going to that in Green Bay, and I know he would be super excited about this. And they had him taking Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado. So Shedeur Sanders is finding his way to the Las Vegas Raiders there in this mock draft. Number 6, the Denver Broncos. They had Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle out of Texas. So that's another guy to keep an eye on this season is Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas. Number 7, the Arizona Cardinals. He had them drafting Will Johnson, a cornerback out of Michigan. So Will Johnson, to me, it's him and Travis Hunter, number 1 and 2 in this class as of right now for cornerback position. But man, Will Johnson is an absolute dog, man. 6'2", has nice size, only allowed 14 catches last year and 0 touchdowns as well this past season. So he's a special talent there at cornerback. Pick number 8, the Minnesota Vikings. Here we go. DC, ready for this?
Yeah.
All right, so they have us taking, or Jordan Reid had us taking Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. So Mason Graham is a phenomenal defensive tackle, phenomenal football player there out of Michigan. I would be super, super happy with this pick. Obviously, it's a position of need, as we know. We still need that interior defensive tackle help. We'll see what happens this next season with Tillery that we signed, and also how Harrison Phillips handles himself back in that role. But last season, Graham had 7.5 tackles for loss and had 3 sacks. So not too bad for interior defensive tackle there. And then he's just, he's a very, very disruptor too in the pass game and the run game. Number 9, the New Orleans Saints. He had them taking Abdul Carter, edge out of Penn State. So some are saying that this kid reminds him of Micah Parsons. So just kind of put that in perspective. You know who Micah Parsons is, plays for the Dallas Cowboys, one of the elite edge rushers in the NFL. So Abdul Carter out of Penn State, another guy coming out of Penn State to keep an eye out for. Number 10, we have Luther Burden III, wide receiver out of Missouri. So Burden had 1,212 total receiving yards last year, and then he also had 710 yards after the catch. So Luther Burden, to me, he's probably going to be my number 1 as of right now. He'll probably stick there, but man, when he gets the ball in his hands, he's special. And that you can see that in that stat there of 710 yards after the catch. So if you haven't heard of Luther Burden, go look him up because you'll be completely just eye-opening the stuff that he does there in Missouri. So moving on to the 11th pick, and that's the Seattle Seahawks. And he had the Seattle Seahawks taking Travis Hunter, cornerback out of Colorado. So obviously, if you watch college football, Travis Hunter plays both ways. Plays wide receiver and cornerback. Man, is he an elite player. He's the number 1 player in his recruiting class. He went on and joined Deion Sanders there at the HBU. Then after Deion got that job in Colorado, he transferred there with him. So he's a special talent, plays both ways. Player that I'm looking forward to playing with in the college football video game here coming up. So,
Oh, yeah.
Number 12, with the 12th pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select. This is an interesting pick to me. And I want to hear what you have to say on this one too, because as we know that Pittsburgh Steelers went out there and traded for Justin Fields this offseason and also signed Russell Wilson. But in this mock, he has them drafting Quinn Ewers, quarterback out of Texas.
That's really weird.
Yeah, so to me, if that happened, that means that obviously Russell Wilson was really off and Justin Fields they don't believe in. So
Or they could be Russell Wilson retiring and just have Ewers be backup Fields or battle for that number 1 spot.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely an interesting pick. Ewers, I think, hopefully he lands somewhere else in Pittsburgh because I like him a lot. Him, Sanders, and Beck, I definitely think are my top 3 quarterbacks as of right now. If I had to make a top 3. We're moving on to pick number 13, the Tampa Bay Bucks pick Benjamin Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame. So he had 9 picks the past 2 seasons, and he's also a phenomenal cornerback too, big bodied as well. So Benjamin Morrison, DC, I know you like Notre Dame a little bit, but not as much as me. But yeah, keep an eye out for Benjamin Morrison next football season. Number 14, the Indianapolis Colts. He had them taking Malachi Starks, another Georgia boy. So Malachi Starks is a safety. Yeah, another guy to keep an eye out for. Number 15, Chicago Bears were on the clock, and he had him taking Patrick Payton, edge defender out of Florida State. So hey, we talked about this past these past few or episodes leading up to the draft is, maybe the Bears could use that edge defender, and here in this draft they go and get a guy to pair up with Montez Sweat. So number 16, the LA Chargers, he has him taken. I'm gonna try to pronounce his name here, but Tatoria McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona, 6'5". He's a big target. He averaged 107.8 receiving yards this past season, so I know he's a guy to keep an eye out. If you haven't seen him as well, go look him up on YouTube. So that's Tatoria McMillan out of Arizona. With the 17th pick, you had the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting Denzel Burke. He's a cornerback out of Ohio State. With the 18th pick, he had the Cleveland Browns selecting Emory Jones Jr., offensive tackle at LSU. With the 19th pick for the LA Rams, he had them taking Deion Walker, defensive tackle to Kentucky. Deion Walker is, he could be a guy that could potentially even make his way to the number 1 interior defensive tackle spot in this class. 6'6", 348 pounds. He had 7.5 sacks last year. Pressured the quarterback 39 times this past season. 30 of them is when he was lined up at D tackle. So he's getting tremendous pressure up the middle on offenses. So a guy to keep an eye on. If you ever watch Kentucky play, Deion Walker out of Kentucky. Number 20, Atlanta Falcons, DC. They had him taking Nick Scorton, edge defender out of Texas A&M. Number 21, he had the New York Jets going wide receiver with Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State. So he's definitely a guy that I thought he was going to be coming out of this past class, but he decided to go back to Ohio State for one more year. So Egbuka is definitely a guy to keep an eye on this next season. He has a lot of great skills, and Ohio State's pretty loaded, so they're going to be loading up to go on a championship run and taking Michigan, taking the reins back from Michigan there in the Big Ten. Number 22, he had the Miami Dolphins going tight end. This past draft, we didn't have a tight end in the first round. Oh, actually, let me go back. This past draft, we did have a tight end go in the first round. That was to the Raiders with Brock Bowers, but this next guy, he's a really great tight end too, but I don't think he's up to the same echelon as Brock Bowers, and that is Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan. So he's had himself a really nice couple of past seasons. Loveland, if you watch any Michigan football, you definitely know who that is. Pick number 23, the Green Bay Packers. They had him taking JT Tuamalu, edge defender out of Ohio State. So he's another guy that could have potentially left for this draft class, but he decided to go back for one more year for college football this next season. Number 24, this is a player that I really like a lot, and having him go number 24 is a little surprising to me. To me, I think he's going to be a top 20 player when it's all said and done, maybe even make his way into the top 15, top 10. But that is, he had the Houston Texans selecting Harold Perkins, linebacker out of LSU. So he's a guy that I really like a lot, so keep your eye out for Harold Perkins out of LSU. Number 25, he had Philadelphia Eagles taking Danny Dennis Sutton, edge defender out of Penn State. So that's 2 edge guys going here in round 1 out of Penn State. Number 26 had the Dallas Cowboys taking Evan Stewart, wide receiver in Oregon. Stewart actually just transferred over from Texas A&M to Oregon this past season, so he's a really great wide receiver, has a lot of good athletic traits, and keep an eye on Stewart there in the Oregon Ducks offense. Number 27, DC will know this name, and that's he had taken the Buffalo Bills taking Isaiah Bond, wide receiver of Texas, formerly played for Bama. So he transferred over to
Okay.
or to Texas after this past season once Saban left.
Okay.
With the 28th pick, Cincinnati Bengals had him taking Tyler Booker, offensive guard out of Alabama. So another guy that you should recognize there.
Okay.
It's a stud offensive lineman going in the first round. Number 29, the Detroit Lions, Ashton Gillette, edge out of Louisville. And then number 30, the Baltimore Ravens, Landon Jackson, edge out of Arkansas. Number 31, the Kansas City Chiefs, Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle of Michigan. So that's 2 D tackles from Michigan going to the first round. And then number 32, we had the San Francisco 49ers in this one winning the Super Bowl. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it's the Kansas City Chiefs, because if they do repeat for the third time, DC's got to get a Kansas City tattoo. We talked about that
Yep.
in another episode as well. So DC, I see you're shaking a little bit there. So hopefully Kansas City's not in that point, so you'll go back to the Super Bowl and have a chance to win it again. But yeah, San Francisco 49ers taking Walter Nolan, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. So, this past class was very offensive heavy in the first round. And as of right now, this 2025 class is shaping up to be very special defensively. So a lot of great defensive players coming out here in this 2025 class. And yeah, look out for them, because there's a lot of absolute dogs. There's absolute dogs all over the place. So, but yeah, DC, we kind of got to the point of this episode. Maybe real quick, just since the last time we also had a podcast, the college football video game finally released their trailer, and man, I am so excited. That trailer had me wanting to run through a wall when I was watching it. Just the stadium entrances of those teams, and
Yeah.
just the overall pageantry that they had shown there in college football. I'm so excited when that comes on in July. So, how are you feeling about that?
Oh, I'm going crazy. I can't wait to purchase it, and I'm just gonna play the crap out of it. I might have to put my phone on do not disturb and call in sick a couple of times to play a full day of it. Like the egg guy said, you're probably not gonna see us much this summer, because all of us are just playing football all summer long and just chilling in our man caves or something. But no, I think this is probably the best EA game that they ever made, and I cannot wait to purchase it and play the living crap out of it.
Yeah, man, I'm so excited. Just can't wait to jump into it. Hopefully I'll have some time to do that this summer. I'll just have to try to make some time for that one. So, but yeah, thank you everyone for listening to the episode today. We hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully maybe made you think a little bit about your top 5 favorite players for the Vikings and Twins that you got to watch. And big game, big series here for the Wolves. Exciting times for them. Hopefully we make a run here to the NBA Finals. But yeah, so DC, thanks again for joining me tonight. Until next time, Skull Vikes, bring your ass back. Thank you for listening to our episode. Be sure to give us a follow on Instagram and X at Naptime Sports Talk Podcast for content related to the pod. Thank you for the support.